Welcome to +1, the series where each month I look at the free games on PlayStation Plus and tell you if they're worth the download. After all, the games may be free, but your time is valuable. Today we're looking at Bound, a 2016 game made by indie developer Plastic. I've got a funny little anecdote here before I get into the details. The moment I started this game up, having almost no recollection of its reveal or anything about the game for that matter, I said to myself, this reminds me so much of Ico. Shortly after finishing my recording, I did my usual research on the game, and boom, heavily inspired by Ico. Nailed it, good job, Bolty baby. Bound is another cinematic platformer game, in a similar vein to games such as Journey or Abzu. You take control of a pregnant woman who imagines this fantastical world where she's a princess saving her kingdom from a vicious monster. And that's it as far as the story goes. The game tries to go for some deeper symbolism, but the writing just isn't there, and it sort of makes things feel a little pretentious at points. I would have much preferred if there was no written dialogue here whatsoever, just to line up more with a wordless adventure like Ico was. Somehow Bound did both just too much and just too little simultaneously, and it comes off as sloppy as a result. That's not a big deal, but for some reason it took away from the vibe that Bound had in my own experience. Your mileage may certainly vary on this. Visually, the game looks gorgeous. The level backgrounds are made up of these jittering cubes that automatically catch your eye. The floor you walk on shifts and crumples around you. Walls ebb and flow as if they were the ocean itself at times. It's art, and that's driven home by the princess's animations. Part of Bound's gimmick is dancing, and every single motion that the princess performs flows in this natural ballet style. From her jumps to her wall shimmying, it's all superb. She even slows down naturally to a stop after you let go of the stick to maintain this sense of flow. For you platformer fans, there's no need to worry about that last part. The game automatically enables an edge guard mode to prevent you from walking off the side of a level to your death. Now, this can be disabled, and disabling it is actually required to get this game's deceptively difficult platinum trophy. If you're a trophy hunter, you should just run away now because you need to perform a 100% speedrun and play the game upwards of half a dozen times to get that plat. And like Ico, this really isn't the kind of game that I feel warrants challenge playthroughs. Also for you platformer fans, the game isn't very good. It's incredibly basic. The goal of Bound isn't to challenge you, it's to provide a visual experience. The only challenge you would get is from that aforementioned speedrun, honestly. I really have nothing else to say about the gameplay itself, except for the fact that the camera jerks around at certain sections of level, toying with a pseudo-fixed camera setup. It's a really good thing that edgeguard is on by default because the camera cuts even more suddenly than an old PS1 game. Without that edgeguard, you would die way too often. Well, actually, I guess there's one more thing. The game has these spheres that you can run around a la Mario Galaxy, which is always neat, except the camera is atrocious when you're on these things. Nothing really makes you appreciate a reliable camera until you experience a truly bad one. If you're a fan of shorter art house games like Ico or Journey, +1 Bound to your collection. It'll be worth it for the visuals alone, even if the gameplay really doesn't stack up to either of those two somehow. Also, it has PSVR support. I guess I should probably start mentioning that more often since PSVR is hopefully here to stay. If you're not a fan of this sort of game, definitely give it a pass. At only 1.5 gigs, don't worry about the file size killing your hard drive either. And if you're watching this after November and the game is no longer on PS Plus, it's $20 regular price. In my opinion, it's not worth $20, especially not when there are similar games that are also PlayStation exclusive that do this far better. What do you think about Bound? Do you have a favorite game in this style like Journey or Abzu or even Ico? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you want to find out if the other PS Plus games are right for you, be sure to subscribe.